with Dallas at Washington. And the day starts with the Washington Redskins back in the playoff hunt by virtue of their 5-game winning streak. They're only a game and a half behind the first place Philadelphia Eagles. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the NFL on Fox. I'm Sam Rosen, along with a man who used to be Marty Schottenheimer's favorite nose tackle, Bill Maas. And what a turnaround for Washington, Bill. They lose their first 5. They win their last 5, and they're in the playoff picture.
And you know what it's all based on, Sam, is trust. And that's big. I think it's really underrated as far as how it's contributed to a team's success. Trust between the players and the coach. And they've gained that. They're starting to believe now in Marty Ball, Marty's system on how to win in the NFL. And on offense, it starts with number 48, Stephen Davis. Hand him the ball. Look at the difference between the first 5 games and the last 5 games in average yards and average attempts at rushing the football. And a lot of that success is due to the 3 guys in the middle of that line, Zott, Raymer, and Coleman. Those guys have gelled together in the last 5 weeks. Neither of those guys have been there last year to play at all.
Now, for the Dallas Cowboys, this has been a hugely disappointing season. They're 2-8, largely because their quarterback situation is in a state of flux. And today, they go back to the man who started the season, a rookie, Quincy Carter.
And they're back to square one. They really don't know what they have in Quincy Carter. This is kind of a live audition. Now, the one thing they do know about Quincy Carter is he is a tremendous athlete. They don't know how good of a quarterback he's going to be, though. Today, they're going to ask him to do just a couple of things. One, hand the ball off to whomever is...
Washington 8 straight times. This long rivalry continues today. It's the 84th meeting between the Dallas Cowboys and the Washington Redskins. And it's had it all. Great players, great coaches, championship teams battling one another. And this afternoon, the longtime rivals, the Dallas Cowboys and the Washington Redskins, get it on next.
Fox Sports welcomes you to the following presentation of the National Football League.
A look at the games played earlier, some still going on. Pittsburgh defeated Minnesota 21-16. The Steelers continue to roll. Tampa Bay and Cincinnati are in overtime as the Bengals came back in that one. New England was down 13-0. They came back to beat the Jets, and they're just half a game behind the Jets. Tennessee with a big win in Cleveland. Chicago coming back to lead against Detroit. That's late. Dave Campo, disappointing year for his team. They feel that they're similar to Washington, except they turn the ball over much more than the Redskins do.
Well, I don't know if they have the talent Washington does, but I can tell you this. Dave Campo's done an outstanding job this year of keeping the team together under the circumstances. You're talking about 5 different quarterbacks. I mean, that's impossible to win in the NFL with.
For Marty Schottenheimer, he's told his team, yes, you've won 5 in a row. Now you're 0-0 for the season. You have 6 games left. There's your season. It's in your hands.
And they're doing things in his system, the Marty Ball system. And we're going to show you today different components of what his system is. The things that he has done, the success that he has had in Cleveland, in Kansas City, and what he's got them to believe in right here in Washington.
The Redskins have won the toss. They've elected to receive. Michael Bates is deep for Washington, an outstanding return man with great speed, averaging close to 25 yards per return. Micah Noor will kick it off. Dallas has had trouble with their special teams coverage this season. Dallas won the first meeting 9-7 on a Monday night in Dallas. Washington hasn't lost since, and we're underway. Michael Bates from the 4. Jason Bell takes him down at the 23-yard line. And the Redskins, led by one-time Dallas Cowboy Tony Banks. He signed with them in the offseason. He was cut during the preseason. 5-3 as a starter. The offensive line, Bill mentioned, the big stud tackle, Samuels and Jansen playing well. Inside, Dave Zott, Ben Coleman at the guards, Corey Raymer the center. The wide receivers are Rod Gardner and Michael Westbrook. Gardner's become the go-to guy. Stephen Davis, third in the NFC in rushing. Donnell Bennett at fullback, and Walter Rasby's blocking has been outstanding at tight end. Banks steps back and checks off. from the 22. Banks puts it up on first down. Nobody open. Now he goes short. And a good play by Marcus Steele, throwing Donnell Bennett, the fullback, for a 2-yard loss. Dallas Cowboys on defense. Pepe Zellner, Brandon Noble, Michael Myers, and Greg Ellis up front. The linebackers make the plays. Dat Nguyen in the middle. Dexter Coakley flies to the ball. Marcus Steele, the rookie from USC, is playing. Mario Edwards and Dwan Hawthorne, the corners. The great safeties, Darren Woodson and George Teague. Those of you who just watched Carolina and New Orleans, we welcome you. We're just underway in Landover, Maryland. Washington Redskins, second down. Stephen Davis powers straight ahead up across the 30-yard line. Greg Ellis made the tackle.
And you saw where they attacked. You saw where they attacked, Sam. Watch this play right here. Watch Raymer, watch Zott, watch the job they do on the inside. See the defense seal right in the middle? That's where they have since the beginning of the season, when they came in. Heck, they signed Zott. Zott was out of football for about 18 months with injuries. They signed him at the end of August, right before the first regular season game.
3rd and 2 coming up, and Dallas has called the timeout. Some confusion on the defensive side. Dave Campo upset that his team had to use the timeout so early in the game.
That's one area, if you're going to look at Dallas, and you talk about the Cowboys, and you just talk about them, well, look at their record. Not very good at 2-8, but one area on the team that has played very well all year long has been the defensive side of the ball. Undersized guys, hard-working guys. Only 4.6. That's yards per play, and that means pass and run. And look where they rank. Look at the teams they're up there with. Pittsburgh's defense, right. Philly's defense, Baltimore's defense. They're right up in the top part of the league as far as defensive play on how they shut opponents down.
Dallas committed to improving their run defense, and they really have done that substantially this season. 3rd and 2. Davis and Bennett in the backfield. 2 tight ends, Stephen Alexander and Walter Rasby. And now Washington calls timeout. Okay. Each team taking a turn with confusion. And Tony Banks will come to the sideline to talk things over.
You know, the thing about it was, Tony Banks wasn't even the one that signaled timeout. Who called it? Was it Gardner? Rod Gardner called it, and then Stephen Davis in the backfield called timeout. They signaled. I think they got lined up wrong, and Gardner knew it once he got over there and didn't have time to get back.
Well, Tony Banks was cut by the Dallas Cowboys, and he still has an edge in his game. He wants to win this game badly because he knows people are saying, hey, if he couldn't make the Dallas Cowboys. Now, this was in pregame. He's got a lot of friends there. Shaking hands, talking with Joe Avizano, the special teams coach, and then with Quincy Carter. Little love shown there.
Well, some of the coaches were very surprised that he was cut. They say some of the coaches didn't know he got cut.
3rd and 2. 2 tight ends. Stephen Davis. Good job by the Cowboys defense, and Dexter Coakley, number 52, who flies to the ball and makes plays. The leading tackler stopped Stephen Davis for no gain. Maybe a yard on the play, but it's short of a first down.
You know, that he talked about that defense and the speed of the linebackers. Watch Coakley and watch how they get downhill. Untouched, scraping free to the ball. Nobody gets to him, and that's the speed they have with Coakley and Wynn.
Ryan Barker punting to Reggie Swinton. Swinton had a 65-yard return for a touchdown Thanksgiving Day. Lets this one roll, and it rolls dead at the 32-yard line. So the Cowboys do a good job defensively, and they'll go on offense. And the rookie out of Georgia, 2nd-round draft pick, Quincy Carter. He started opening day. Then he was injured, came back week 4 and played 1 quarter against the Oakland Raiders and pulled a hamstring. The offensive line is a good one. Page and Adams the tackles, Garment and Allen. Allen the longtime All-Pro at guards, and Stepnoski the center. Emmitt Smith and Troy Hambrick in the backfield. Jackie Harris back from an injury. Galloway and Ismail, good speed at the wideouts. Still with it, rolling around the right side, and is forced out of bounds by LeVar Arrington. Arrington, the big playmaker on defense. And check out the Redskins on defense. Up front, they haven't been getting to the passer, but Bruce Smith is the longtime sack leader with Marco Coleman, Dan Wilkinson, and Kennard Lang. Kevin Mitchell, solid in the middle. LeVar Arrington is the big playmaker, and Robert Jones, a former Cowboy. Fred Smoot, Champ Bailey are the corners. Outstanding coverage men. Sam Shea, David Terrell are the safeties.
There's Champ Bailey. Champ Bailey's matched up down here on the other side of where he normally lines up. He's with Rocket Ismail.
Emmitt Smith squeezes through a hole, gets up to the 38. We welcome those of you who watch the Chicago Bears come back to defeat the Detroit Lions 13-10. And those of you who are watching Tampa Bay win in overtime at Cincinnati, we welcome you. Tampa Bay blew a lead in that game and won it 16-13. Sam Rosen and Bill Maas here.
Detroit got in the win column?
Not yet, Bill.
No, what was the score?
13-10. Bears win it. 3 wide receivers for Dallas on 3rd and 4. The toss to Michael Wiley. Gets around the end, gets a first down. Up to the 46-yard line. Wiley, the 3rd down back, with a good run around the right side.
Oh, how about this adjustment? They know that 81 right here is matched up with 24, Champ Bailey, so they motioned 81 and brought that seam over with them. Champ Bailey is matched up. He's ISO. He's not playing his regular left corner position. Where he's playing is wherever Rocket Ismail goes. They detected that early in the game and then took him in motion and then blocked on him.
And Ismail doesn't mind blocking at all. Pretty good blocker for wideout. The fake toss to Emmitt Smith. Rolling right is Quincy Carter. And he gets rid of it and completes it to Rocket Ismail at the 40-yard line. He's out of bounds. Quincy Carter has been working on his delivery.
Look at that separation here. Bailey and Ismail. Ismail's going to come up, in, and then back out towards the sidelines. Watch him set. Plants Champ Bailey there. There's the separation, and on the money with Quincy Carter.
On the move, and a good throw by Carter. Emmitt Smith and Troy Hambrick in the backfield for Dallas. It's Emmitt taking the toss. Not much. Gets about a yard. Antonio Pierce, number 58, is in the game. Made the tackle.
One area they want to attack is Bruce Smith. Bruce Smith and Kennard Lang. They're a little bit undersized right here. See these guys right here? Kennard Lang's a little undersized. You know Bruce Smith is a pass rusher. Rule of thumb is you always want to run at the pass rushers. Of course, you saw what Flozell Adams did to Bruce Smith. Just took him right out of the play.
Correction on that last tackle. It was LeVar Arrington on the tackle. Here's 2nd and 8 for Dallas. Blitz coming. Emmitt Smith trying to get away. And he is brought down. Wow. Great play by Sam Shea, the strong safety who blitzed from the far side and chased down Emmitt Smith.
Boy, did you see LeVar Arrington? The distance he covered as well. Sam Shea got there, but LeVar Arrington covered a lot of ground as well. You talk about a young linebacker in this league that has the huge upside potential of stardom. This guy just makes phenomenal plays everywhere he goes. There's Shea wrapping him up, and then on top right over there, that was LeVar Arrington that fouled him over.
So now it's 3rd and 6 for Dallas. 4 wide receivers for the Cowboys. Michael Wiley in the backfield. Carter out of the shotgun with plenty of time. And he finds Rocket Ismail. First down at the 20-yard line. Champ Bailey on the coverage. A pickup of 16 on the play. And a good delivery again by Quincy Carter.
One thing that Rocket Ismail can do is he's great in and out of breaks. There he is on bump and run. Now watch the footwork. Look at the separation on the stop. That's just a stick route on the outside. He just gets up to the sticks, and once he sees Champ Bailey's hips flipped around, he stops.
Rocket Ismail going to the sideline, shaking up on that last play. First down, Dallas at the 20-yard line. Reggie Swinton, number 80, has replaced Rocket Ismail. Emmitt Smith on first down, bounces it outside. He gets inside the 10, is ridden out of bounds at the 5-yard line by Sam Shea. And Emmitt Smith. There's been some talk all week long about how effective he is and how much he has left. Well, Emmitt's showing something today.
And look where they're coming, right to the left side. Block, block, block. Everybody's blocked up to the left side. That's the side the Dallas Cowboys believe they have an advantage. Larry Allen's over there, Flozell Adams. It's just too much mass to compete with.
4 carries, 25 yards for Emmitt Smith. Swinton in motion, 1st and goal. Emmitt takes it outside, swings wide, touchdown, his first of the season. A beautiful drive by the Dallas Cowboys, and Emmitt Smith finishes it off. Marty Schottenheimer jotting things down, but boy, that's got to pump the Cowboys up, Bill. What a start. Good defensive series, and then an excellent 68-yard drive. John Hilbert for the extra point, and the Dallas Cowboys march 68 yards to a touchdown to take the lead, and Emmitt Smith goes in for the score.
Fox NFL Sunday. Brought to you by Southwest Airlines, proud sponsor of the NFL, official airline of Super Bowl 36.
Another touchdown in the great career of Emmitt Smith. But since his last rushing touchdown, 11 games, 40 quarters, 167 carries, it's been a while, nearly a year since Emmitt had a rushing touchdown. And he scores from 5 yards out. Micah Noor kicks off. Michael Bates steps up to the 3. Looking for a lane. And he gets across the 30 to the 32. Brought down by George Teague. The defense talking it over for Washington after Dallas scored to take the lead.
Take a look at this touchdown. Remember we said they were running left? Well, look, they stacked their linebackers and their strong safeties all over on this side. So what does Dallas do? They come back to the right side and drill it in there. Linebackers all running over the outside to the left. They're overstacked. They came back to the right. Nice adjustment by Jack Riley, the offensive coordinator.
Redskins start from their 32. Banks still has it, rolling. Naked bootleg. Good gain for a first down. Picked up 10 on the play. Tony Banks has only been here for a little while. He's just picking up the offense. Says he knows about 75–80% of this offense, Bill.
Well, one thing you do with these fast, quote-unquote, defenses, and fast defenses primarily pertain to the linebackers, is you get them going one way, and then you come the other. Watch that win. Look how fast he's over there. He's gone. Look at right there. All the linebackers were going to the play side, and he's out the back on a boot. Get him going one way, come back the other.
On first down, Dallas showing blitz, almost jumped offside. Banks forced out of the pocket by Pepe Zellner. Throws, and it's batted down. Greg Ellis got the left arm up and batted down the pass. Time for an update. Let's go back to the Fox Television Center to JB.
Hey, Sam, Cincinnati took Tampa Bay into overtime where Martin Gramatica banged home that 21-yarder. First back-to-back wins this season for Tampa Bay, which improves to 6-5. Oakland striking first against Arizona. Jake Plummer fumbled in his own territory. Oakland capitalized to Tim Brown. They're up 7-0. Back to Sam and Bill.
Thanks, JB. On second down, Stephen Davis pushes the pile across the 45-yard line. Picked up about 3 on the play. So bring up a third and a little longer than Washington likes it, Bill. Maybe about 3rd and 6.
Well, most teams in the NFL don't like it. You know, you like to be about 3rd and 5 or under just because that's a manageable down. Because most downs you can get 4 yards on. Whether you run the football, most teams are averaging around 4 yards a carry, or you can throw a little quick pass to the flat and pick up the 4.
Kajana Carter is in the backfield, number 23. 3 wide receivers in. Teron Flemister, the tight end. Dallas jumped. Pepe Zellner jumped offside. The pass is complete. Kajana Carter out of bounds at the Washington 49. But this will be against Dallas. Jerry Austin is our referee today.
And now it'll be 3rd and 1.
Offside, 98 defense, 5 yards, repeat 3rd down.
See, that's pretty manageable now.
That's right.
And you know what it takes me back to? I watch this offense now and how it's gelling, and I just go back and I remember the 90 Kansas City Chiefs. The hard count with Steve DeBerg. I mean, that was classic Marty ball. Run the ball, play action. I'm going to show you, too, what I've noticed watching film was Tony Banks' play action. He looks like he watched film of Steve DeBerg or Peyton Manning. He sticks the ball way out, Sam, tucks his head.
Here's 3rd and a yard and a half. 2 tight ends, 2 backs. The play fake by Banks wants to go to Rob Gardner, incomplete. Caught on a hop by Gardner. So a little surprise play, the big play action by Banks. He went for the lone wide receiver, Gardner, but threw it short.
Well, it was there, but watch Banks play action. Watch him extend the ball out, Sam. Watch him tuck his head and the ball. His back is turned to the defense. Then he comes up, he looks for his one of 2 receivers in the route because they use maximum protection. It was just a bad throw.
Second punt of the game for Brian Barker. Barker gets it away. Good high kick. Reggie Swinton waits for a fair catch. Takes it at about the 12-yard line. 5:40 to go. First quarter. Dallas playing well. Goes on offense when we come back. The races are really heating up. More great football next week. We start with the best pregame show there is, and then the Giants visit the Dallas Cowboys. Later on, the Washington Redskins go to Arizona to meet Jake Plummer and the Cardinals. Coverage begins noon Eastern, 9 Pacific on Fox. Rocket Ismail is back for Dallas. He and Joey Galloway go to the left side. Emmitt Smith and Troy Hambrick in the backfield. Quincy Carter 2 for 2, 29 yards. Emmitt Smith got to get back. Slips Fred Smoot. Gets across the 20. Good tough run by Emmitt. Close to 10 yards. David Terrell, number 31, the free safety, took him down. Emmitt's really come into the game playing hard.
Emmitt has always had big games against the Washington Redskins. Even earlier this year, he had a huge game, one of his biggest of the year. You just see his vision and his patience. That's the zone stretch right. Everybody's blocking to the right, and he has a cutback. He can take that thing as far right as he wants, or when he sees a cutback and an opening, he took it back that time.
See his career numbers. This time the up back, Troy Hambrick, goes straight ahead for a couple of yards. Bruce Smith made the tackle for Washington. It was talk this week. Dave Campo, in talking to reporters, said, well, I don't think Emmitt can be a 30-carry back anymore. And Emmitt took it as if the coach was saying he couldn't do it anymore. But it really wasn't, because I don't think you want Emmitt Smith carrying 30 times a game.
Well, you know, when you're losing, everybody becomes really sensitive. Yeah. And everybody takes offense to it. Look what happened in Indianapolis. You can't really say anything without somebody taking offense.
Hambrick again. This time is a good hole, and he gets up to the 35-yard line. Fred Smoot made the tackle. A first down for Dallas.
Right up the gut, Sam. Watch them just seal this defense right in here. They're going to cut this defense in half. Look at that. I mean, that's textbooks, and that's some young linebackers. LeVar Arrington backdoored at that time, tried to rely on his athletic ability instead of following through to the play side gap.
Cowboys have already rushed for 62 yards. First down from the 35. It's Emmitt Smith. Gets away from Bruce Smith. Stiff arms one man out of bounds. Up at the 40-yard line. Is very close to another first down. David Terrell pushed him out of bounds. Cowboys, effective running game to start this one.
Kevin Mitchell coming off the field has a shoulder injury, it appears.
And that would be a huge loss. He's been one of the solid players on defense for the Washington Redskins. Del Calcette, number 91, has replaced Kennard Lang.
They move Robert Jones in the middle, and they bring in Pierce at the outside.
Number 51, Antonio Pierce is in. Troy Hambrick carries on first down, gets about a yard on the play. Bruce Smith in on the tackle, along with Antonio Pierce, the rookie out of Arizona, who was filled in when LeVar Arrington was injured and missed some time.
Rookie free agent, played exceptionally well. They put him in the nickel situation too. Has great pass coverage skills. Here they come out now.
Dallas
and Robert Jones out.
Dallas sticking to their game plan of running the ball. They send everybody wide. Empty backfield. Michael Wiley is split out. 3 wide receivers in. Carter, short drop, quarterback draw. Nice hole. Quincy Carter slides across the 45 down to the Washington 44-yard line. It's a first down. 11-yard pickup.
They spread you out, empty backfield. Washington goes to dime, 6 defensive backs. Now look what you have in the box here. Bruce Smith is way outside. Look at the pass rush lanes. And then Supnoski gets up on the linebacker, Arrington. Enough for the first down.
Carter coming back after missing 6 weeks with a hamstring injury. He took a tendon out of the hamstring. Troy Hambrick is the lone setback. Rocket Ismail in motion. It's Troy Hambrick. Down about the 41. LeVar Arrington gets in on the stop along with Sam Shade and Bruce Smith. Troy Hambrick, the second-year man out of Savannah State, ran very well on Thanksgiving Day, and creating a situation where he's getting a lot of playing time and running the ball well.
Well, look at the size of the young man, 255 pounds, and he can block when you need him to block as a fullback. And when you hand him the ball as a running back, wherever he lines up, he will run you over. Flat run you over. Some guys are 255 and try to juke and move. He's a 255 that looks for contact.
8th play of the drive. 8th straight run for Dallas. Straight ahead goes Emmitt Smith inside the 40 to the 37. It'll bring up a 3rd and about 3 for Dallas. We'll see what the Cowboys go to as Emmitt Smith walks off on the 3rd down play. Michael Wiley comes in, the 3rd down back.
You know, Sam, we're talking about this is the kind of game where it's bring your big boy pads because it's going to be big boy football, and that's all it is. Look at Dallas yards per rush, 6.4 yards per carry thus far.
3 wide receivers. Washington answers with 6 defensive backs. Michael Wiley, he stays on his feet. He's got another first down. Dallas stays with the run, and Wiley takes it down to the 31-yard line. Fred Smoot tripped him up, but it's another Dallas first down.
Sam, Bruce Smith is going to have to hunker down and play run football. He is upfield on the rush outside, and they attack him going upfield and run the ball underneath him.
Cowboys have rushed for 96 yards in the first quarter. They scored the first touchdown. Emmitt Smith took it in. Quincy Carter directed his first touchdown of his NFL career. End of the first quarter. Dallas 7, Washington nothing. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Landover, Maryland. Sam Rosen along with Bill Maas. Dallas Cowboys controlling this game so far, Bill.
Well, you look at the time of possession. Dallas 10:46 to Washington's 4 minutes and 14 seconds. Dallas has 10 first downs, won by the Washington Redskins.
Redskins gave up only 17 first downs their last 2 games total. On first down, the toss to Emmitt Smith. Nice move to the inside, gets down to the 25-yard line. David Terrell, the free safety, tripped him up. Good pickup on first down.
I can tell you right now what's going to win and lose this game.
Go ahead.
Turnover. No question about it. This kind of game where it's out of the quarterback's hands. Both these quarterbacks are trying to control what they do.
Play it safe.
Yeah, they don't want them to win the game. They know what they have in Tony Banks and Quincy Carter. But at some point in time, they're going to have to do something, and it's going to either be fumbles or interceptions, but whoever wins the turnover war is going to win this game.
11th consecutive run for Dallas. This one is no gain as Emmitt Smith is stopped. Bruce Smith was the first one in on the tackle. So that will bring up 3rd and about 4. Kevin Mitchell back in the game for Washington was in on the tackle as well. Mitchell had gone off earlier. Now goes out on a passing down situation. Let's see if Dallas will put it up. 6 defensive backs in for Washington. Dallas 3 for 3 on third down, working out of the shotgun. Quarterback draw. Carter gets away from one man, gets down to the 21-yard line. This is very close to a first down.
Well, they did it before, and we were just talking, you got to get into a flow of the game. Watch this right here. Kennard Lang. This is third down, Sam. You should be rushing the passer, and he's going backwards. I mean, it's like I'm being on skates. You can't do it. I mean, you have to get upfield into the backfield when you have a team that's running the ball at you and a quarterback is mobile.
How about this? They are an inch short. All right, if you're Dave Campo, you're 2-8. Do you go for it here?
You're on the road. You kick the field goal.
Looks like Dave's keeping his offensive unit out there. Dallas this season 4 for 10 on fourth down tries. Quincy Carter has played it safe. Marty Schottenheimer orchestrating the defense. And here is 4th and about an inch.
Well, they've had a lot of success running the football. This is a rivalry. They are 2-8. He elects to go for it. Rule of thumb is you're on the road in an enemy's backyard. You take the assured 3.
Smith and Hambrick in the backfield. Emmett shifts. Quincy Carter lunges forward. There's a flag on the play. And it's against Dallas.
Yep.
Well, now you know what they'll do.
On the left guard.
Yeah, and here's
5 yards. It's still 4th down.
Okay, now they're going to move him back 5 yards, Sam, and they're going to probably come out and kick the field goal. But don't forget, they just signed a new field goal kicker, Hilbert. Okay,
a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, and they're not. I talked to Joe Avizano, and they're not real sure what his distance is. He said if we're in close somewhere around that area of the field where he pointed to, where they were, they take it. Now you've got to go back 5 more yards.
Well, they marked it down at the 26-yard line, and it looks like they're still going to go for it.
That's because of the mistake they made by not taking the 3 points there.
All right. And let's see, Quincy Carter decides to call timeout. It went over to referee Jerry Austin. No, just had something to talk about the play clock. Now the play clock is in motion. 3 wide receivers in for Dallas. Redskins defense trying to get fired up. 4th and 5 for Dallas. In motion, Reggie Swinton. Blitz coming. Carter throwing. And it's dropped. And a flag on the play. Joey Galloway was hit by Fred Smoot. And it's interference on Washington. And a first down for Dallas.
Pass interference, 21 defense, automatic first down.
Well, they threw the slant pattern. That's one thing Philly did against Smoot and Champ Bailey last week. And what happens is Smoot has his arm on the backside as he makes that play. Watch the right arm wrapped around the backside there as he comes through the receiver.
First down, Dallas at the Washington 16. Emmitt Smith and Troy Hambrick in the backfield. Ismail in motion. It's Emmitt Smith. And he's brought down for a loss. Outstanding penetration by the middle linebacker, Kevin Mitchell. 7th-year man out of Syracuse, his 2nd year with the Redskins.
Well, this is nothing more than a run blitz because at the snap of the ball, 55 shoots the center guard gap, and he's coming downhill right away. Normally, the center is making his block, and then they're looking for the linebacker over the top. You can't account for the linebacker when he's blitzing the run right at the snap of the ball.
Mitchell has become a starter in Washington after several years in a backup role in New Orleans. On 2nd down. The blitz coming. Emmitt Smith gets a block from Stepnoski. Gets down to about the original line of scrimmage, close to the 16-yard line.
Well, you know what? They're gonna say, you know what, Quincy Carter, we know what you are too, and we're gonna force you to come out of this. We're gonna force you to check out an audible and pass. Look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 in the box. They got 2 guys out here playing, these 2 guys, and that's, go ahead. You want to check out of it and go to an audible and throw the ball, go ahead and do it. Until then, we're going to stack you up in the box and play the run.
15th play of the drive for Dallas. They have to get down to the 6 for a first down, and they run it. Michael Wiley straight ahead. Flag on the play. They got down to about the 13-yard line, but it's a penalty for holding against Dallas. So a couple of penalties here by the Cowboys. One by the Redskins, kept the Dallas drive alive.
Holding. 61 offense, 10 yards, repeat third down.
Kelvin Garmin, the right guard, called for holding. On Big Daddy. Dan Wilkinson was held by Kelvin Garmin. They have to get to the 6-yard line for a first down. 3rd and 20. 4 wide receivers in for Dallas. Michael Wiley in the backfield. 6 defensive backs for Washington. Carter throws short, incomplete. Intended for Reggie Swinton, thrown low. Champ Bailey on the coverage. And now the field goal kicking unit comes on for Dallas. And we'll check out the distance of John Hilbert, who is 2 for 4 since taking over from Tim Cedars. Tim Cedar on IR after being injured a couple of weeks back.
That's exactly where they were when they went for it on 4th and 1.
This drive will officially be 44 yards. Mike Anor, the holder. And it is hooked. No good. It had the distance, but it hooked wide to the left. The Redskins hold, the fans cheer. It's still 7-0 Dallas. We'll talk about Marty Ball, Bill.
Well, this is it right here. You look at the first 5 games, yards rushing the average. Yards allowed rushing, which is going to get blown away today if they don't settle down. Time of possession goes along with rushing the ball, and then the turnover ratio. And that's been their key formula to the things Marty does. And on offense, it starts with the offensive line. In Kansas City, Dave Zott was a key cog in everything. They used to run this power O play and pull it all the time. Now I'm watching him in Washington, D.C. They run the exact same thing. Zott pulling.
Redskins have only had the ball for 7 offensive plays, 4 minutes, 14 seconds. Their 3rd possession. Banks brought it back, then throws incomplete, trying to hit the tight end Walter Rasby. Dexter Coakley covered on the play. Banks had ideas to
Anticipating run, so they've got to come out and establish some sort of presence of a pass to get them out of the 8th man up.
On 2nd down, Rasby, the tight end, shifts. Banks swings it out to Stephen Davis, juggles it, drops it, incomplete. George Teague was covering, and thus far the offense not getting into any flow for Washington. 9 plays, 4 rushes, 5 passes, and Banks is 1 for 5, -1 yard.
The problem with the system with Marty Ball is when you get behind, it becomes a problem because you don't have the quarterback that can get you out of that.
To John Carter in the backfield as Banks works out of the shotgun. 3 wide receivers in for Washington. Banks being pressured, and he gets away. Banks still looking and throwing, and it is incomplete. Got away from Pepe Zellner, who almost had him wrapped up, but a good defensive series for Dallas again. 3 and out for the Redskins. They've had only 10 offensive plays in 3 possessions. Fans starting to get a little restless. Some booze.
Well, this isn't the formula that they won in Philadelphia with last week. No, and the thing was, you know, they get that early lead and they can protect that lead. They can chew up the clock and dictate the flow of the game.
Barker's kick is a good one. Swinton backs up to the 16. Takes it to the sideline and is pushed out of bounds. Up near the 35-yard line. It's been a rough start to the game for Tony Banks. Dallas leading 7-0. That's Darrell Green, the veteran leader, doing a lot of talking here. He's talking to Fred Smoot. He's on the field directing traffic out there, Bill, like an assistant coach.
Well, that's what he is. I mean, this guy has a wealth of knowledge. He's been around here playing a long time playing corner. And two young guys come in, Champ Bailey and Fred Smoot. Heck, I'd be around that guy all the time.
Cowboys start from the 34-yard line. Quincy Carter tosses to Troy Hamrick, makes the turn, and he gets about 10 on the play as Dallas continues to run the ball effectively. Sam Shade made the tackle, and it looks like he's got enough for another first down for Dallas. That'll be the
safety missed the tackle, Sam. He filled the hole where he was supposed to. David Terrell came up, filled the hole, and he got run over basically by Emmitt Smith.
Dallas has rushed for 115 yards thus far. 12 first downs to only 1 for Washington. Cowboys have 2 tight ends in there, Mike Lucky and Jackie Harris. Hamrick cuts it back. It's up to about the 47-yard line. As they have maintained the time of possession. That last drive that ended in a missed field goal for Dallas was their longest time of possession on any drive this year, 10 minutes 11 seconds, and they came out with no points. That was the downer of it.
There's no secret. They're relying heavily on the offensive line of this team, which is probably the best unit on this team by far.
Troy Hamrick, the lone setback. Jackie Harris in motion. Quincy Carter gets time and completes a diving grab by Mike Lucky. Lucky, who's known more for his blocking, makes a good diving catch. And it looks like he's at the first down marker. It's another Dallas first down.
Well, here's an area they haven't been getting people involved in much at all. There's Jackie Harris, but over here, the 2 tight ends, there comes Mike Lucky. And neither one, they thought Jackie Harris would be a guy that could give them something at the tight end position. The Dallas Cowboys offense has not been the Dallas Cowboys offense that we've been accustomed to seeing since they lost Jay Novacek. They've spent a lot of time, energy, and draft choices trying to find people to fill that void. It just hasn't happened.
Michael Wiley in the lineup, went to the right side. Carter throwing and completes to Jackie Harris. And Harris is inside the Washington 40-yard line. Champ Bailey took him down. Quincy Carter worked a lot on his delivery, changing his grip on the football, getting used to the pro ball as opposed to the college ball.
Well, the night college ball is one that was a little fatter. And the NFL ball is a smaller ball. He held the college ball almost in the middle of the ball on the laces. And that's what he did when he came here to Dallas. But while he was injured, they moved it up further on the nose.
Carter off the play fake. Good stop. LeVar Arrington was there. No fooling LeVar Arrington on that play.
LeVar Arrington is just one of those guys that can change the course of a game. Second sack for Arrington, not only for today, but for the season. LeVar Arrington, 56. He's not fooled at all because he reads his key, the guard. When he sees Larry Allen pull, he stays with his key, and he knows he's pulling for a reason. He follows the guard, shoots behind him, finds himself Quincy Carter.
Dallas has called timeout. 6:43 remaining first half. The Cowboys have a 7-0 lead.
Fox NFL Sunday is brought to you by the reinvented Toyota Camry. Get the feeling. By Citizen EcoDrive, a revolutionary watch that never needs a battery. By cold filtered Miller Genuine Draft. Never miss a genuine opportunity. And by Radio Shack. You've got questions? We've got answers.
play was ruled not a sack, just a loss, because it was a designed running play. So on third down, Dallas has to get to the Washington 36-yard line. 4 wide receivers in for Dallas. Michael Wiley in the backfield. Quincy Carter gets time, fakes, now throws low and incomplete. Intended for Rocket Ismail. LeVar Arrington and Sam Shade were there. LeVar Arrington is a big playmaker. In fact, he made a play in a game against Carolina when Washington was 0-5 that may have turned the season around.
Well, they point to that anyhow. They thought that was the turning point of the season, that their fans got back on the bandwagon, and everything really exploded after that. And the numbers really reflect that. Look at the numbers before the interception and then after the interception.
They were down 14-0 in that game, came back to win in overtime, and now they've run off 5 straight wins. Mike Nor's punt is fielded by the Dallas Cowboys. Great coverage on the play by Jason Bell, who's got great speed, downs the ball at the 10-yard line. 32-yard punt, no return.
This is Tony Banks playing for the Rams. Look at the play action fake there. Doesn't fool anybody. Certainly doesn't fool Bruce Smith. You're not buying the run sell. But watch today. Look at him. Tucked his head, tucked the ball, turn his back to the defense, and come up throwing. When you tuck your head, Sam, the reason the quarterbacks tuck their head on handoff, because they want to see that ball get into the stomach of the ball carrier, so their head automatically goes down. If your head doesn't go down, linebackers are...
Banks goes from the 10-yard line. 4th possession for Washington. They've run off only 10 offensive plays. Stephen Davis straight ahead. Gets up to about the 14-yard line. Somebody's helmet popped off.
You know, the one thing, when you run the ball like Marty does all the time, you've got to teach everybody to block, even your tight ends and wide receivers. Watch 86 Walter Raspy. The reason he's playing is because he can block. This is just outstanding. He takes it inside one step, then look at the push. Drive, drive, drive. That's on a defensive end, Sam.
Good job by Raspy. The other tight end, Steven Alexander, was shaken up on the play, and he is limping off the field.
That's Steven Alexander being helped off the field. He's had that sprained right ankle. It's been bothering him. Boy, is he upset. It's just frustrating. The one thing, you see Sammy only had one ankle taped. If you're injured, you always tape both your ankles. You never let them know which one's injured.
Straight ahead goes Stephen Davis on 2nd down, and he is stopped for no gain. Short pickup, time for a game break. Back to the Fox Television Center to JB.
Hey, Sam, Arizona's been taking advantage of the ground attack against Oakland. Michael Pittman had a 22-yard run that helped set up this 1-yard run by Michael Pittman, and it's Arizona on top of Oakland, 14-7. Back to Sam and Bill.
You know what? The Cardinals are 4-6. Win today, and they'd be in the playoff hunt in the NFC East. 2 tight ends in for Washington. On 3rd down, Banks under pressure, rolling, cuts it upfield. He's got a 1st down and runs out of bounds at the 30-yard line. Good mobility by Tony Banks. He picked up 15 for only the 2nd 1st down of the game by the Redskins.
Watch this, Sam, right here. You're going to have a blitz pickup on this side. Watch Steven. Boom. He picks that up. Now look at the time he has in the pocket. Stephen Davis picking up the blitz of the linebacker, buying that time for Banks to make a decision. Look downfield and take off.
Darius Thompson in motion. Stephen Davis straight ahead. Gets up to about the 33-yard line. Those are tough earned yards, as the Dallas defense has done a good job. Demetric Evans, number 92, made the tackle. Washington has run for 47 yards thus far in the 1st half. Davis coming into the game 3rd in the NFC in rushing. Dallas showing blitz. People move. Flags fly. John Jansen, the right tackle, seemed to jump up.
Well, he did move, but was he drawn off?
76 false start. The defense did not get into the neutral zone. Therefore, the offense is responsible. 5 yards. It's still second down.
Well, see, they worked the hard count. There goes Steven Alexander off with that ankle injury. He was inactive for 4 weeks. Came back last week to give it a shot. Was still kind of limited.
About 25 plays last week. They wanted to get him 35 this week, but now re-injures the right ankle. Zaron Flemister, number 89, is in at tight end and is split out to the left side. Thompson in motion. Banks being rushed. And tripped up. Good play by Brandon Noble. He just got a piece of him, enough to trip up Tony Banks and send him down for the sack.
Brandon Noble, you know what? He's a guy that exemplifies. There's Noble right here, the nose tackle. He exemplifies this whole Dallas defense and the effort they give. That's his 3rd sack of the year. And he's just a blue-collar guy that just keeps plugging away. A long, persevering story of his effort to get to an NFL team.
Trip to NFL Europe,
2 trips.
Barcelona, that's right. Went try to make it with the 49ers when Brian Young was injured. Washington invited him. Dallas invited him. Here's Quincy Carter off the short pass. He got up, play still alive, gets up to the 30-yard line, but way short of a first down. Darren Woodson in on the stop. There's another story of comeback perseverance. Quincy Carter.
But he had all the talent in the world when he came out of college.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted Brandon Noble. Heck, nobody wanted him at Penn State when he was in college.
Juan Hawthorne, the left cornerback, injured for the Cowboys. Started to get up and now holding his left knee. And being checked out. Hawthorne is a man who has stepped up this season and taken over as the starting cornerback. 2:51 remaining in the first half. Dallas with a 7-0 lead as they check out Juan Hawthorne. Hawthorne limps off to the sideline. Brian Barker with his 4th punt of the game. The side of his foot bounces down. Good roll picked up by Swinton. Heads for the sideline, knocked out of bounds at the 38-yard line. 41-yard punt. There's a flag on the play, and we'll check it out. Jerry Austin.
Holding number 93 of the receiving team during the kick. 10 yards from where the kick ended. First down.
Happy Zellner. Man called for the hold. That sets Dallas back 10, but they have possession and go on offense with 2:37 remaining in the first half and a 7-0.
Take a look at the tackles by the Washington Redskins defense. 12 by the defensive backs. Now that's pretty bad because they've only have 4 completed passes. If that means they're running the heck out of the ball and they're not stopping until they get to the secondary.
From the 28, the toss to Emmitt Smith, and couldn't get back to the line of scrimmage. A couple of big hits in there, including Kevin Mitchell and LeVar Arrington. Emmitt Smith, 13 carries, 59 yards.
That's what they need to do more of, Sam. Get in that backfield and create havoc. Penetration in any running game creates havoc. If you're not crossing the line of scrimmage and getting into the offense's backfield, they can have their way with you.
Both teams playing it safe. No turnovers in the game. Dallas has only passed 7 times, 6 times. Washington has passed 7 times. Dallas leads it 7-0 at the 2-minute warning.
Fox NFL Sunday. Brought to you by Visa. It's everywhere NFL fans want to be.
Scored on their first possession, and they have made it stand up so far. Coming up, the Visa halftime report. JB, Terry, Howie, and Chris are ready. They're in the studio. They've got scores and highlights and a whole lot of commentary and analysis. And the Fox Sports ticker has up to the second stats. That's the Visa halftime report. It's coming up next. 2 weeks from today, Washington plays their next home game against Philadelphia. Time change. It starts at 4 o'clock. Just want to let everybody know about that one. Want to make sure the Redskins are on time for that one. Right here on 2nd and 10. Carter hands to Emmitt Smith, straight ahead, slipping a couple of tackles. It's up to the 34-yard line. And again, Dave Campo is content to just play it very, very safe, conservative. Emmitt Smith, 14 carries, 66 yards. Terrific first half for Emmitt.
They just keep grinding, Sam. They just keep grinding in the middle. That time, Kelvin Garner, watch 61. He just takes Big Daddy Wilkinson and just pulls him down to the ground as Emmitt slips by. And you know what? With the mass of humanity that is that Dallas offensive line, they look like they're falling down, and you really can't tell that they're all over you.
3 wide receivers in for Dallas on 3rd down. Carter scrambles and throws low. Intended for Darren Chiaverini. Big-time pressure by the Washington Redskins. Forced Carter out of the pocket.
Well, a big-time answer by the Redskins defense. We saw the numbers on the tackles and who's making them. Well, that time they stuffed everything up. They stuffed everything up, and they got 3rd and long, and now they got a chance to get after him. Get the rush on Quincy Carter. Force that young quarterback to make a play.
Eric Metcalf is deep. Micah Noor with his 2nd punt of the game. Coming up short. Bounces at the 35. That gets out of the way, and it's touchdown by the Dallas Cowboys at the 21-yard line. 45-yard punt. And now we'll see what the Redskins do with the remaining time in this first half. Redskins have 2 timeouts remaining.
Look at that
time of possession. Wow.
Oh my goodness.
And yet it's only a 7-point game, Bill. Dallas controlled the ball. They've had a couple of long drives, but still it's only a 7-point game.
Well, they're taking the exact page out of Marty Ball, and that's run the ball, chew up the clock. They've been able to master it this game, whereas Washington has not been able to get on track in that aspect.
Banks works out of the shotgun. 3 wide receivers. Split the tight end Flemister as well. Goes short to John Carter up to the 30-yard line. That win, the middle linebacker made the tackle. Hurry up offense with the clock running. On 2nd down from the 30. Banks gets time, goes outside to Ron Gardner. And Gardner is brought down at the 39 by Darren Woodson. It's a 1st down for Washington.
Gardner was open on the play before that, and I'm sure someone in the helmet to Tony Banks said run the same thing. Look for Gardner on the outside.
Timeout Washington, 1 timeout remaining. 32 seconds to go in the half. Marty Schottenheimer, he was on the hot seat 5 weeks ago. Now his team is on the cover of SI.
The curse.
And hoping they're not jinxed. 3 wide receivers for Washington. Kevin Lockett, number 83, is in. Banks sends everybody out. Being rushed, stepped away. Throws and completes it to Lockett. In Dallas territory at the 47. It's a 1st down for the Redskins, and the clock stops with 26 seconds remaining. Redskins have 1 timeout left. 14-yard pickup on the play.
Well, there was Lockett working inside the slot, and who he drew in coverage was a strong safety. He's to the left of your screen, and he's going to draw Woodson. He takes Woodson up into the middle of the field right here and then separates. See, watch the separation there? Because he knows he has safety help over the top in George Teague.
3 wide receivers. The tight end Flemister split out. The blitz coming. It's picked up. No, Woodson broke through. Banks slips it and throws. Incomplete. Darren Woodson just ran right over John Carter and just missed the sack.
Here's Woodson right here. Watch him just deliver the blow, run right over John Carter. John never had his feet planted as he was ready for that blow, and when it came, his knees buckled. What do they call that when you go head over teacup?
Darren Woodson, man, has he been some player for a long time. Donnell Bennett is in the backfield. On 2nd down, Banks steps up, completes to Bennett inside the 40 to the 38-yard line. They're spotted at the 37, close to the 1st down marker. That Wynn made the tackle. The clock is stopped. We'll probably have a measurement here. We'll step out with 11 seconds to go in the half. Redskins used a timeout on that play, Bill.
I didn't understand that, and they could have gone up and tried to spike the ball. With 11 seconds left, you want to use that last timeout to get your field goal team on the field.
And you got a measurement coming up here, and it's a first down.
Well, even if it was second down, you spike it, then you had to either take a shot at the sidelines, you get a pass out of bounds, or down the middle of the field. Keep the extra timeout to get your field goal team out there.
It looks like the Redskins will try to run one more play. As it is right now, it would have to be about a 55-yard field goal for Brett Conway.
Well, now you're limited to just outs.
Right.
That's what you're limited to, or a swing pass to the back that's got to get out of bounds up the sidelines. But watch the secondary of the defense. Watch the Cowboys and how they're going to play this. They're going to be well on the outside of the numbers, from the numbers outside. And that's exactly where they are. Take a look at it. They're all outside here and outside here.
6 defensive backs for Dallas. Banks looking. Wants to go deep. He's going for it all, and it's overthrown. Rod Gardner, the intended receiver. Pat Dennis was covering on the play. So they took one deep shot. Do they have time for another? No, there's 4 seconds to go.
There's 4 seconds, and they're staying in. They're not even going to attempt a long field goal. They're playing for 7.
That's Brett Conway, and he just backs off. He was a couple of yards onto the field, swinging the leg, warming up.
They were a little quick in calling that timeout on that completion. Banks turned around. Maybe he didn't know how many timeouts were left, but if he was advised to do it, he was ill-advised.
Well, here they go. 4 seconds to go. Last play of the first half. Redskins down by 7.
Play clock, delay of game.
Delay of game.
Offense.
That's terrible.
5 yards. It's still second down.
Oh, that's terrible clock management here.
The play clock right in front of Tony Banks. He had to see it. He certainly couldn't call timeout. They're out of timeouts. But they didn't get the play off in time. They're set back to the 42-yard line. One last play. 3 wide receivers go to the right side. Banks steps up and throws the Hail Mary into the end zone. And it is batted down, incomplete. Man, tough to catch a ball in that crowd. Tony Banks goes off. It was not a good offensive first half for Washington. Dallas controlled the ball and scored first and leads 7-0. Back in Landover, Maryland, Dallas leading Washington 7-0. Our Dave Feldman is down on the sideline with Marty Schottenheimer. Dave.
All right, Sam, thank you very much. Coach, obviously stopping the rushing game, the top concern for the second half.
Has been the concern all week for the preparation, Dave, and they did a nice job. Dallas did come out with a little bit of a different wrinkle. I think we've got that thing solved. Got to make some first downs on offense. You know, we're not keeping the ball like we need to.
Thanks, Marty. Get back to it. Sam, back up to you.
Thanks very much, Dave. Sam Rosen along with Bill Maas. And Bill, you said right at the top, Marty Ball, they've got to hand the ball to Stephen Davis. And Marty said they haven't been able to do that at all.
They need to, and they need to do it at least 25 times in a game. That's a success factor. If you give Stephen Davis the ball and he's successful rushing it 25 times, you're going to win a football game. And I think that holds true around the league. Teams, for whatever reason, though, when they get bottled down and get cluttered down inside, they right away want to get out of it by passing downfield.
Dallas came out. First time they had possession. They marched 68 yards, led by Emmitt Smith's running.
Well, yeah, they had that little wrinkle, all right. That little wrinkle was the offensive line up front and what they were doing to Washington's defensive front. They would catch them in an over front, move the strong safety to that side, and run to the backside. Now, Dallas has just been hammering him. 5.3 yards a rush. Most of them by that man right there, Emmitt Smith.
Dallas 33 plays in the first half, 25 rushing, 8 passing. But look at that number at the bottom. Time of possession. That's got to wear down a team, don't you think, Bill?
Well, yeah, it does wear down a team. Anytime you keep the ball that much, the clock is running in your time of possession because you are pounding them and pounding them with the run. You don't pass the ball and eat up time of possession. You run the ball and do that. And if you're able to do that, then you have a good running back and you have a good offensive line. And that's been the key today for the Dallas Cowboys.
Well, the Redskins with a 5-game winning streak on the line, but Dallas doesn't want to hear about Redskins winning streaks. They've got their own winning streak going against Washington. They've beaten the Redskins 8 straight times. Brett Conway kicks it off. Reggie Swinton takes it at the 9. Got the lane, and he gets up to the 35-yard line. Good run back. David Terrell with the tackle after a 27-yard return by Reggie Swinton. Quincy Carter. Wade Wilson has been his mentor, the quarterback coach for Dallas.
Well, yeah, I talked to Wade before the game. As you see there, the first down strategy. Redskins 8 in the box 5 of 17 times, and Dallas has rushed for an average of 5.3 yards. Heck, they need to get more than 8 guys down there in the box if they're getting 5.3 yards. Plus, you know, challenge Quincy Carter to go up over top of you.
Jackie Harris, the tight end, shifts. The toss is to Emmitt Smith. Troy Hambrick leading him, and Emmitt gets about 3 on the play. Emmitt Smith, 15 carries, 70 yards. And the lone touchdown of the game.
Oh, there's a little bit of adjustment. Watch number 50 to the strong side. He's going to be all the way out here. Watch what he does and how he gets outside and strings that play out. That, of course, is Robert Jones, a strong side linebacker. Remember, I was telling you Dallas was setting their run to the strong side and trying to catch him in and over. Well, you widen your linebacker out some and have him string it out. That's what they did there.
On second down, Carter to throw, being rushed, he steps up, in trouble, down he goes. Kennard Lang was the man who finished him off. Carter tried to find a way. Emmitt Smith and LeVar Arrington exchanging pleasantries.
Hey, heck, you know, one old guy that's been around it all and one young guy who's going to be around for a long time. And they talk to each other just because of their respect for each other. When you're a big-time player in this league, the other big-time players on the other teams will come over and just give you a little pat. They'll acknowledge it because that's their way of saying, you know what, you're bad too.
3 wide receivers for Dallas have to get to the 45-yard line for a first down. Carter in trouble. He was hit from behind. There's a flag on the play. Bruce Smith hit him as he was throwing.
Flags all over the place.
Yeah, lots of flags down. Holding against Dallas.
Two penalties on Dallas.
Jerry Austin.
Holding on 76. That penalty is declined. Illegal touch by an offensive lineman. That penalty is declined. 4th down.
And the pass hit the offensive lineman. That was the illegal touch. So the Cowboys are stopped, and Micah Noor will punt for the 3rd time in the game.
Bruce Smith just came around and got his arm, Tony Banks' arm, and as that ball fell short, the first thing it hit was the back of the offensive lineman. Carter.
Micah Noor, good high kick. Eric Metcalf steps up, takes it at the 23. Swinging wide, turns it upfield. Good return by Metcalf. Hunter up the sideline. There's a flag on the play. He's brought down at the Dallas 41. Great return by Eric Metcalf. He can still do it.
Absolutely. You know, that's another part of Marty Ball, the special teams aspect.
Holding 88 of the receiving team during the return. 10 yards. First down.
That hurts Darius Thompson, the wide receiver. Marty Schottenheimer gets the word. Washington, 36-yard return. 10 yards is taken away on the penalty. Redskins on offense when we come back.
Fox NFL Sunday is brought to you by Volkswagen. On the road of life, there are passengers and there are drivers.
Redskins start from the 47. Special teams you were talking about,
well,
Bill.
when you have a ball-controlled offense and good defense, you need to get the field swung in your favor, and that's why Marty brought in Metcalf and Bates. That's what brought them in there. And in essence, they're offensive guys.
Best field position to start for the Redskins. Stephen Davis carries across midfield. Only the second time that Washington has been in Dallas territory. The first time was right at the end of the first half.
You know, one thing they've got to do, as we talked about at halftime, is just look at the number. And this is Stephen Davis rushes in games. 0 to 15 times, that's their record. But look what it is when they run it more than 25 times. They're 8-1.
So far, 7 carries, 27 yards today. Davis straight ahead. Not much there. Good job by the middle of the Dallas defense. And Marcus Steele, the rookie out of USC, finished off the tackle. Marcus Steele has done a good job stepping in.
A lot of the reason that Washington's having a tough time blocking this Dallas front is watch these guys slant. Look how far they're slanting over a gap and a half, Sam, at the snap of the ball. So they're lining up in one spot. Watch these guys and watch how far they slant.
3rd and 4. Blitz coming. Banks gets rid of it. Incomplete. And he took a hit from Darren Woodson. Woodson came big time and hit Tony Banks just as he released.
Well, watch. They all slant this way, so the line goes this way to pick them up. Then here comes the blitz off the backside in the gap. That's Woodson. Everybody's slanting, and then look at the seam. That's what makes Dallas so difficult, Sam, for an offensive line. That's why Washington is struggling on their blocking schemes up front, because the guy's lined up over top of him, then he's gone.
Brian Barker way up in the air. Reggie Swinton waves for a fair catch and takes it at the 13-yard line. 4.8 seconds hang time. Tony Banks has had struggles getting the offense going. Cowboys start from the 13-yard line. Crowd urging on the defense. Quincy Carter hands to Emmitt Smith, looking for a hole. There's not much there. Gets up close to the 15-yard line. Kevin Mitchell and Bruce Smith in on the stop.
No, Bruce Smith and LeVar Arrington have become pretty close as far as friends go. And Bruce caught on with them last year. And he used to go out to dinner, make the rookie take him out to dinner every week last year. And he'd tell the rookie, he said, hey, the advice is free, but you got to buy the dinner. And you know what? That's important, Sam. It really is, because Bruce has been through the whole spectrum of the NFL, the stardom, the NFL MVP.
Hambrick taking it wide. Pushed out of bounds by Champ Bailey at the 16-yard line. And now the defense for Washington is fired up.
And the LeVar is that kind of guy that can be an impact player, and has been at times, can turn the game around single-handedly. And what Bruce was talking about is he can't believe, and I was like, who does he remind you of? Darryl Talley, he says, yeah, at times, but he's more special than Darryl. He's faster. He goes, I called Darryl Talley and talked to him about LeVar Arrington. He said, you know, a lot of people want to make comparisons, be like Lawrence Taylor. He told him, you be the one and only LeVar Arrington.
On 3rd down, out of the shotgun with 3 wide receivers. Carter in trouble, gets rid of it, completes to Darren Cheverini at the 26-yard line. It's a 1st down for Dallas. That's a big throw by Quincy Carter. Cheverini's first catch of the game.
I think every time he goes back to pass, Jack Riley, the offensive coordinator, I think Wade Wilson, the quarterback coach, just hold their breath. Because they really don't know how he's going to perform when he sees all the pressure around him, when he sees what's happening downfield. Everybody's covered up. That's a pretty good throw to Cheverini. He waited on the separation.
1st down, Dallas at the 26. Troy Hambrick following Johnny Huggins. Big block by Huggins, and Hambrick gets up close to the 40-yard line. Sam Shade took him down, but the fullback, Johnny Huggins, with a huge block to spring Troy Hambrick for a 13-yard run.
You know, Dallas has made a little adjustment, too, to Washington's adjustment at the half. And what they were doing, Jackie Harris, they've been lining them up outside wide. Now, when you do that on your base defensive personnel, Sam, A linebacker has to walk out there with you. If a linebacker walks out with a tight end outside, that takes him out of the box. That's one less defender in the box.
Ismail in motion, blitz coming. The handoff to Troy Hambrick. And it's stuffed by the Washington front. No gain on the play. Hambrick's 9th carry of the game. He's rushed for 45 yards. Emmitt Smith has carried 16 times for 71 yards. Marco Coleman made the tackle on Troy Hambrick.
Well, Robert Jones, okay, the strong side backer. Remember how Dallas was running to the strong side? Watch him to the right side here. Look at the penetration he gets upfield. Remember, we were telling you about how do you stop a running team? You get penetration into the backfield, and that disrupts everything. Now, the running back is forced to change the direction in the backfield and not at the line of scrimmage.
Michael Wiley goes in motion. Hambrick to set back. Carter to throw. Outside, and miscommunication. The play wasn't there. Wiley went straight up the sideline, and the pass was incomplete.
Well, you can only expect miscommunication when you're on your 6th different quarterback since training camp.
That's right.
You talk about it, Coach. How can you win in the NFL when you started out with Tony Banks all through the offseason program, all through your mini camps, all through training camp, then one day you decide, you know what, we don't want him. Get him out of here. We're going to take a young guy approach. Then you go through the rest of the roster. You bring in several players. You cut other players. Heck, how would you like to be the offensive coordinator and try to put something together?
Crowd urging on the Redskins defense. The blitz coming. Carter gets time. Now, with nobody open, he throws down the sideline. It's picked off. Fred Smoot. First turnover of the game, as Quincy Carter made a rookie mistake.
You heard Marty Schottenheimer talk about it. You heard Dave Campo talk about it. If it's going to go this route, if we're going to have a slugfest, turnovers are going to win or lose this game. One thing you have to do on 3rd down when you have a quarterback, a young quarterback, is know when to punt. There he gets the pressure from the outside. He gets to the sidelines, throw that thing out of bounds and punt. Yep. He forces it. It could cost him.
Fred Smoot's 4th interception of the season. He leads the Redskins. Tony Banks from the 37. Stephen Davis ran into a wall, tries to bounce it outside. He does. Good run by Davis. And then he's ridden out of bounds by Mario Edwards. But Davis turned nothing into a solid 1st down pickup.
And Stephen Davis is the horse, and he's the guy. And you talk about Marty Ball and the things he's done. How about Ernest Biner and Kevin Mack? And how about in Kansas City, Christian Okoye? How about Barry Word? Every place he's been, he's had that kind of attack, and he can make it work. Stephen Davis, and also John Carter now as well. He's always found guys that he can make go. But it all starts up front, and that has to work first.
Westbrook in motion. Davis, 10th carry of the game. Good hole and burst through into Dallas territory. And down to the 46-yard line. Pickup of 10 on the play. 17 yards on the last 2 carries by Stephen Davis.
Well, we showed the shot of Dave Zott in Kansas City running the power O. And what's he doing right here? Running the power O. Dave Zott leading the way, getting up there. There's the seal block by Zott that opens up the hole for Davis.
Eric Metcalf in the backfield with Davis. Goes in motion. Out to Metcalf. 3 blockers. Cuts it inside. Good quickness by Eric Metcalf. Picks up 9 on 1st down. Time for a game break. Back to the Fox Television Center to JB.
Hey, Sam, to take a look at the thoroughbreds for the Rams. Take a look at Kurt Warner pump faking. Corner bit on it. Torrey Holt wide open. Takes it to the big house. They're on top, 21-6. Michael Vick is in for the injured Chris Chandler. Sam Rosen, Bill Maas.
Thank you, JB. St. Louis trying to keep pace with Chicago. Chicago won their 9-2. St. Louis 8-2. San Fran plays tonight. They're 8-2. Knocked down on the play was Stephen Davis at the line of scrimmage. No gain on the play. It'll bring up a 3rd and 1 for Washington.
Hey, you want to talk about taking on a lead block, Sam? You know what, a linebacker, when you have to take on the lead, watch number 55, Marcus Steele, take on Donnell Bennett. Lead, one-on-one, boom! He blows up Donnell Bennett. Hey, in this game, when you're doing that and you got one-on-one, sometimes you're the hammer, sometimes you're the nail.
Redskins 1 for 6 on 3rd downs. 2 tight ends in. Davis burst through for a first down. That time, he was the hammer.
Yeah, and you know who was a sledgehammer in front of him doing that? They said, well, if our fullback can't get up there and block, let's get Dave Zott going. They're pulling Zott again. This is a signature short yardage play for Marty Schottenheimer. He ran it in Kansas City all the time with Marcus Allen. He's still running it with Zott. He pulls and traps, and it always works. Everybody knows it's coming. The defense knows it's coming, but it still works.
Tony Banks says Dave Zott may be the veteran on the line, 12 years, but he plays young, and he gives a lot of lightness in the huddle. Straight ahead, Davis uses some power to push his way down to the 30-yard line. Redskins trailing 7-0. Spot the ball at the 31.
Now, how about, you know what? Now what are we seeing here? Now, what are we seeing? Marcus Steele down with an injury.
Holding the knee.
But what are you seeing happening to Washington that Dallas was doing the first half?
They're grinding it out on the ground, eating up the clock and holding on to the ball. Now concern for Marcus Steele.
Here's Marcus Steele, 55. What happens is Chris Samuel comes across on the down block and cuts him, which is legal. That's very legal. Steele's just trying to get over the top and takes one of those knees to the helmet.
And he comes up in pain.
That's a very,
check him out.
Very uncomfortable feeling.
Early in the game, we saw Dwan Hawthorne, but he returned to the game. Timeout on the field, 5:09 to go in the 3rd quarter. Washington on the move, trailing Dallas 7-0. Marcus Steele with a little help limps to the sideline. Jamal Brooks, number 50, first-year man out of Hampton, replaces him in the lineup. 2nd and 8. Make it 2nd and 7 for Washington. 2 tight ends in.
It's getting about time for one of those play-action passes.
The handoff to Stephen Davis. Still wrestling. Got down to the 30-yard line. Battling for every yard. We'll bring up a 3rd and 6. Mario Edwards made the tackle on Stephen Davis. Tony Banks, 7 for 16. Running game up the middle 11 times.
Well, that's really the part of their offense has really come together for them in this winning streak that they've been on.
Westbrook in motion. Banks rolling, going back the other way on the screen to Davis. Picks up a block of Dave Zott. Going down the sideline, heading for the goal line, and he is out of bounds inside the 1. George Teague knocked him out. A 29-yard pickup by Stephen Davis. And the Redskins are knocking at the goal line.
Well, they set this screen up so well. A little bootleg to the other side. Stephen Davis comes back. Watch Zott leading the way down the field. He takes out 2 blockers downfield, Sam. And if you know how hard that is for a big man who's 300 pounds to run downfield and get in front of 2 defensive backs, that's very difficult.
Inside the 1. 1st and goal. Stephen Davis. Stop. Oh, that's a terrific play. Keith Adams, number 51. The rookie out of Clemson, and Greg Ellis. Outstanding play by the Dallas defense.
Boy, well, that was just the penetration of the Dallas front 4 linemen. Deep, low, and they created a new line of scrimmage because of that ability to slant that we were showing earlier, and it pushed the offensive line of Washington back.
2nd and goal from the 2. Donnell Bennett in at fullback. Hand off to Davis. And he's stopped again.
Oh, plays over.
Brandon Noble was was there. Dexter Coakley was there. And the man leading the way one more time, Greg Ellis.
And watch that defensive line again, Sam. Watch this unit right here. Watch them come. String this thing out and use their hands and get upfield. Boom, boom, boom. Everybody's there. Now, you had 2 runs. Time for play action. They're going to fake the run and go over the top.
3rd and goal.
I think.
In motion, Flemister. Stephen Davis. He's short of the goal line. The ball was down. The ball came loose. The Cowboys felt that they had recovered, but the ball was down inside the 1. How about this goal line stand by the Dallas Cowboys?
And that's been huge. Marty wants a timeout right now because they have to rethink this. They want to look at the spot and they want to rethink what they're doing.
This drive started a ½ yard away from the goal line. They haven't gotten any closer. Cowboys defense will be tested one more time inside the 1. What's the play here, Bill?
Well, I'll tell you what, you better hope it's a touchdown because the hardest points to get are the first.
Leaving up to the big running back, Stephen Davis, and the powerful offensive line. 4th and goal. Banks still has it.
Play late.
He's got an opening. Can he get in? Yes, touchdown.
I was 1 play late.
Play action. And on 4th down, Tony Banks found an open side and took it in. He'll limp to the sideline here. But the Redskins have marched in after the interception by Fred Smoot. And now some concern for Tony Banks.
They have been terrible this year in the red zone. The Washington Redskins. They've been in there 21 times and only had 7 touchdowns coming into this game. They got one here, but they just pulled it out.
Brett Conway to tie it, and he does. Tony Banks with his first rushing touchdown of the season.
There's the play fake. Look at the linebackers. Everybody's in here. He's looking for the tight end. He says, not there. I got to take it in.
Concern for the right ankle of Tony Banks being checked out on the sideline. High ankle at that point. He takes it in for the touchdown to tie the game after a 12-play drive. Ken Graham warming up. Kickoff by Brett Conway. Reggie Swinton from the 3. Finds a lane. And is stopped short of the 30-yard line. Let's see what happened on that play to Tony Banks, Bill.
What happens after he landed in the end zone? Pepe Zellner, 93, right here, comes down on the ankle after he's in the end zone. There's a better look at it. Watch him right here. Watch him come down. Look at that. Oh, ow. That's almost reminiscent of Joe Theismann.
The Dallas Cowboys, there's Banks being checked out. 12-play drive, 63 yards. Cowboys start from their own 29. Carter to put it up. In trouble. He throws and a sliding grab is incomplete. Joey Galloway tried to make the catch at the 41-yard line.
I just don't think that's what you want to do. Now maybe they're trying to get Washington just to get their 8th man out of the box, but I don't think, as you see the ball bounce into Joey Galloway's hand, I don't think you want to come out and have Quincy Carter throwing the ball.
I agree with you.
I think if anything, not from the pocket. Use the boots, rollouts, things of that nature, but feature your running attack in that offensive line. It works so well for you. Why change?
On 2nd down, Emmitt Smith right up the middle. Across the 35 to the 37, LeVar Arrington on the tackle, and Tony Banks. Word from Dave Feldman, our sideline reporter. Tony Banks has told the trainer, give me the shoe, I'm going back in. So Tony Banks
finally getting a chance to play.
Oh, and a couple aspirin. Oh, aspirin fixes everything in this league.
Don't they say tape an aspirin to it, you'll be fine?
That's right.
All right.
5 defensive backs for the Redskins.
You're okay. Take a couple aspirin.
3rd and 2 for Dallas. Game tied at 7. Michael Wiley turns the corner, gets a first down and a whole lot more. The Redskins chase him. Wiley picks up a block and finally is ridden out of bounds. What a run by Michael Wiley.
Well, you think what happens on that, and we've seen it happen a bunch. Because when it's short yardage like this, everybody gets up into the line of scrimmage. And once you commit, look at all the red shirts up into the line of scrimmage. Once you commit that many to the line of scrimmage and it breaks, there's nobody in the back.
Michael Wiley with a 46-yard run puts Dallas in scoring position. Emmitt Smith inside the 15 to the 14-yard line. Well, he went back to the run, and Michael Wiley with a 46-yard run in a 7-7 game has put Dallas in position to score. We've reached the end of the 3rd quarter. The Redskins, with a touchdown by Tony Banks, have tied it, and we'll be back after this message from your local Fox station.
You're watching the NFL on Fox.
Tony Banks warming up along the sideline, testing his ankle. He wants to go back in. We'll see if he does when Washington regains possession. Right now it's Dallas at the Washington 14 with 2 tight ends and a handoff to Emmitt Smith. And he's stopped by Robert Jones. Dave Feldman along the sideline with an injury update. Dave.
All right, Sam, thanks very much. The Cowboys linebacker Marcus Steele, a right knee contusion. He left the game with some help. He's questionable to come back in this half. And Steven Alexander, the big tight end for the Redskins, he re-injured the right ankle that he hurt against the Cowboys. So for the former Pro Bowler, no luck playing the Lone Star State. Sam?
Thanks, Dave.
Sam, in reality, aren't we all questionable? Hey, we're very questionable.
Speak for yourself. I'm day to day. Here's a big 3rd down play. Carter being rushed by Bruce Smith. He got him. 3rd sack of the game for the Redskins. 4th of the season for Bruce Smith. And a big one.
The mistake here is not moving the pocket. This should be a bootleg or a rollout. You don't want Bruce Smith to know where the quarterback's going to be standing. You drop straight back on 3rd down and long, and Bruce Smith is on the edge. You know where he's coming from.
Ozell Adams didn't do a good job blocking him there. John Hilbert will attempt a 38-yarder. It's on the way, and it's dead straight. The Cowboys have regained the lead. John Hilbert with his 3rd field goal of the season, and Dallas leads it 10-7.
Fox NFL Sunday is brought to you by Chevy Trucks, the most dependable, longest-lasting trucks on the road. By Heineken, it's all about the beer. Heineken. By Taco Bell, think outside the bun. And by Sega Sports.
Look at the Washington defense. That man knows something about defense.
He's certainly
U.S. Secretary of Defense Donald Rumsfeld.
certainly not afraid to blitz. Love that.
Well, the president went to the Army-Navy game yesterday. Secretary of Defense here today. Michael Bates from the 2-yard line. Hops over one man and is knocked down. Pat Dennis made the tackle for Dallas. Redskins have to try and come back again. Tony Banks remains in despite the ankle sprain. Waiting, throwing, completing to Kevin Lockett. And he pulls his way up to the 39-yard line. That's a good effort by the wide receiver Kevin Lockett, his 2nd catch of the game.
There's a guy that played for Marty in Kansas City. And Marty, every team he goes to, he'll bring a couple guys that he knows what they can do. Kevin Lockett is nothing but a hard worker, a good blocker, an exceptional route runner. He knows where the sticks are. He plants his feet. Back to the ball.
Dragged one. Hawthorne up to the 39-yard line. It's 2nd and 1. Fidel Bennett into John Carter. Play fake by Banks. Going deep. And he has a man and completes it to Kevin Lockett again. Best pass of the game by Tony Banks. Mario Edwards made the stop at the 27-yard line.
Sam, that was a 2-receiver route. They sold the run in classic play-action form. Look at the run blocking by everybody. It looks like a run. He hides the ball, turns his back. 8 men are blocking, and only 2 receivers get into the route downfield.
Pretty good play fake, wasn't it, Bill?
It fooled the linebackers.
34-yard pickup, first down, Redskins. John Carter trying to get outside. Knocked out of bounds at the 24-yard line. Mario Edwards took him out. Stephen Davis getting a rest.
Sam, what makes that so difficult is even when he does hand the ball off, he uses the same exact motion. Watch Tony Banks. This time he hands the ball off, and this looks exactly like what he does when he keeps it. He tucks his head. See the head go down? He tucks the head, and that's what the linebackers are seeing. So they don't know whether he's handing the ball off or if he's got the ball in his stomach.
Stephen Davis back in with Fidel Bennett. That's Michael Westbrook in motion. And Banks dropped the ball, and Stephen Davis covers it. Ooh, a little trouble on the snap. And a heads-up play by Stephen Davis.
Big-time awareness, because that run was designed to go to the right. When the ball drops straight down from the quarterback's hands, that's the quarterback's fault. If it drops down to the side, to the right or to the left, that's when it's the center's fault.
And throughout his career, Tony Banks has had fumbling problems. Walter Rasby, Zeron Clemister, 2 tight ends in. Banks under pressure. They got him. That was great work up front. Michael Myers, the first man there. Greg Ellis was there following him. 2nd sack of the game for the Dallas Cowboys.
They've made Myers, 94, into a player. They really have. He plays the 3 technique, which is on the outside shoulder of the guard. We have an injured player on the field.
And it's Brandon Noble.
Oof, that will be a big blow to that defense.
There have been a few injuries today. Concern for Dave Campo as his starting tackle is down. Noble on the sideline. Little neck injury, shoulder problem. What do you think, Bill?
He'll be fine. He's Noble.
Good. That was good, Bill. I like that. 51-yard field goal try for Brett Conway. Brian Barker, the holder. And they snap it to Conway, and he punts it. A little pooch kick that rolls dead at the 6-yard line. Pretty neat play. What do you think?
You know what? I was looking at the field position and where they were, and I was saying this would be a good place for a fake. I really was, but then I was figuring what kind of fake would they run? It's a long ways for a first down. Pooch kick was perfect. They've got him pinned. Here's a little pooch kick lined up for the field goal. Direct snap to the place kicker. Just gives a little pooch kick. They have release. They get downfield. They get this thing pinned down there. They're going to force Dallas to go. They're playing the field position game.
From the 6, Emmitt Smith cuts it upfield, gets out across the 10-yard line. The Cowboys have now rushed for over 200 yards in the game. In their previous meeting, which Dallas won 9-7 in Dallas, the Cowboys rushed for 211 yards. And Emmitt Smith with a 4-yard pickup. They get a 5-yard pickup, has run for 88 yards in the game on 20 carries. 2nd and 5. Quincy Carter calls timeout. Now he says something to the referee. Was there some confusion? Jerry Austin.
I don't know if they started that clock correctly.
The play clock did not properly set. Please set it at 25 seconds.
Right.
There is no timeout.
No timeout, okay. Dallas still has all 3 of their timeouts.
See, he went back to the back judge and asked him where his play clock was. Because Quincy Carter was saying mine was running down, and how many seconds did you have left? They have to check the official time on the field.
Hambrick in motion. 2nd and 5. Emmitt Smith cuts it back, finds the hole, ran into the umpire, and gets up across the 20-yard line. It's a first down. Good run for Emmitt. Kevin Mitchell made the tackle, and I think he got up saying something to the official.
Well, he said it to the umpire. That was Jim Duke, and Jim Duke's the one that made the tackle. This is complete Emmitt Smith vision. He's waits, he's patient, and that's the cutback aspect, and that's why he's been in the league this long. There's Jim Duke in the middle of it all. Hey, you don't think it's dangerous being amongst all those bodies, guys flying around in full pads and helmets?
Emmitt Smith has now hit 100 yards for the 72nd time in his career. This time, he's dropped a loss of a yard. He's under 100 yards. Robert Jones with a tackle. Wipe out the 100 yards. Robert Jones started his NFL career with Dallas, spent 4 years there.
That's number 50. Slide, slide, slide. Sees the gap, shoots, fills. Gets a hand on it, and Marco Coleman finishes off the play.
Back at the 21-yard line. 2nd and 12 for Dallas. Jackie Harris in motion. Carter rolling. Stops and throws. And the pass is caught. It is complete inbounds to Joey Galloway. His first catch of the game.
Hey, you know what, Sam? The whole idea of that pooch kick was just another aspect of Marty ball. And that is to shift the field position in your favor, especially in the 4th quarter in a tight ball game like this. There's Joey Galloway on the comeback route. The throw to the sideline was perfect, but all that means nothing if your defense doesn't understand when they have to step up and get off the field.
Quincy Carter with the reaction. Dorian Boost, number 72, in for Washington, replacing Kennard Lang. Troy Hambrick up across the 35 to the 36-yard line. The Cowboys running game continues to grind it out. They have run for 217 yards in the game, and just as they did in the first half, now they're eating up a lot of the clock.
Well, you have to, Sam, you have to win 2 of the 3 aspects of your unit. You have to either win on offense and special teams, or defense and special teams, or offense and defense, and have your special teams messed up. But you have to win on 2 of the 3 aspects. Washington, this is not a winning effort on defense. You can't expect to win giving up 200 yards on the ground.
The toss to Emmitt Smith, trying to go wide. Forced out of bounds up at the 36-yard line by David Terrell, the free safety. It'll bring up a 3rd and long for Dallas.
Well, right now is the time. Right now is the time, because you have them at 3rd and long. Quincy Carter's your quarterback, your defense, everything you're playing for Washington and what they're trying to do to win this game here at home comes down right down to this play. This is what you play. That's what the pooch kick was for this defense, to get Quincy Carter in 3rd and long.
Cowboys have to get to the 44 for first down. The blitz coming. Carter throws long. Way down. Rocket Ismail heading for the goal line. Touchdown. First touchdown pass in the NFL career for Quincy Carter. 64 yards to Rocket Ismail. And he beat Champ Bailey on the play. What a memory that's going to be for Quincy Carter.
Well, look at this. They've got him man-to-man, and he gets by him on the outside, and right there, he just blows by him. Champ Bailey looks back to Quincy Carter. He didn't believe Quincy Carter could throw the ball that far down the field. He carried him to the sidelines for about 20 yards. He looked back, and when he looked back, Ismail kept going.
extra point, and it is a 10-point Dallas lead. Rocket Ismail outruns Champ Bailey. A touchdown pass of 64 yards for Quincy Carter. A key matchup. Ismail has caught 3 passes thrown to him at the expense of Champ Bailey. And Champ Bailey was beaten by his former teammate, Quincy Carter. They were teammates at Georgia, and Carter beat him with the bomb to Ismail. On the return, Michael Bates trying to get outside. Oh, great play by Darren Woodson, slowed him up, and the Cowboys finally bring down Bates at the 23-yard line. How about the veteran Darren Woodson on special teams, getting down the field and slowing down Michael Bates.
Take a look on the one-on-one matchup again. He's ISO'd inside. This is man coverage. I don't believe Champ Bailey has any safety help on this at all. What happens is he has him right here secured. Now he looks back, and as he looks back, that's when the separation occurs. He's like, huh? What? Couldn't believe that Quincy Carter took the shot downfield.
Redskins down by 10, go from their 23. Looks like Dallas jumped offside. Banks throwing deep down the field, and it is intercepted. But it's going to be negated. Juan Hawthorne with the interception, but it's going to be offside against Dallas.
That was Tony Banks working that hard count.
Defense, 98, 5 yards, repeat, first down.
Greg Ellis jumped offside.
Oh, that's the worst feeling.
Take a look. What about Tony Banks going for the bomb right away on first down?
Well, they worked the hard count, and once he saw him right away, that he knew that he had the offsides, that's when you take your shot, because it's a free shot. The only thing that good can come from that is if he catches it. Anything bad happens, an interception or anything else, you're fine.
That's right. From the 29, play fake by Banks. Wants to go deep again. Goes short to Stephen Davis with nobody open down the field. Jamal Brooks, number 50, with a tackle and a little extra on Stephen Davis, who gets up upset. It has some words for the first-year man, Jamal Brooks.
Sam, take a look at Zeron Flemister, the other tight end, 89 on this side. Watch him run his route. Watch where he is. Look at this. He's over here, and there is nobody around Zeron Flemister. And Tony never sees that side of the field.
Brandon Noble is back in a tackle for Dallas. Walter Rasby, the tight end, is split to the right side on second and short. Banks throwing and completes to Zeron Flemister. A first down as he gets up to the 49-yard line. Flemister has been part of the offense the last 4 or 5 weeks. He's caught 2 passes in each of the last 4 games coming into today. And that's his first reception of this game, an 18-yard pickup.
Don't think that, one, Zeron Flemister didn't come back in the huddle and say, hey, man, I was open. And then 2, in the headsets from Brian Schottenheimer calling into Tony Banks said, look for Flemister.
Flemister's in motion. On first down, Banks gets time. Throwing, nobody there, nobody in the neighborhood. Time for a game break. Let's go back to the Fox Television Center to JB.
Take a look at how Oakland is making it a game against the Cardinals. Watch Rich Gannon and Tim Brown hook up. An absolutely beautiful one-handed snag by Tim Brown. Second touchdown of the day for Brown. Second straight week with 2, and they're trailing by 2. Back to Sam Rosen and Bill Maas.
How do you catch a ball like that, Bill?
When it's your job.
Washington 5-5, Dallas 2-8, Arizona 4-6, and the Giants a bye week. They're 5-6. Will play in Dallas next week. Banks on second down throws, and the ball caught for short pickup by Walter Rasby, the tight end. And now the other official rules it incomplete. The official downfield ruled it hit the ground. One official said complete. The other official said it hit the ground incomplete.
That's Rick Patterson, the side judge.
And it's ruled incomplete.
Let's see if he has possession.
Yeah, that's a good call.
It's a great call. It's a great call.
3rd and 10 for Washington at midfield, out of the shotgun. Banks in trouble. It's intercepted by Isel Reese. Reese racing down the sideline. He is pushed out of bounds at the Redskins' 21-yard line.
This is when the system doesn't work. When you get behind, there's a reason teams run this kind of offense. Dallas is running it. Washington is running it. Baltimore ran it last year with Trent Green. You see it around the league more and more. And it's because your quarterback has limitations. So you run the ball and control and you pick his passes through play action. When you get caught in a situation where the quarterback has to make plays for you to win a game, that's when it becomes disastrous.
First interception of the season for Isel Reese. 42-yard return. A huge turnover. And Dave Campbell loves it. His Cowboys have a 10-point lead with 4:10 remaining. And they start from the Washington 21. Emmitt Smith inside the 20. Now he's back over 100 yards. He had dropped down to 98, but he picks up 5 on the play.
Emmitt Smith has more consecutive seasons with at least 250 rushing attempts than any other back in the history of football. He's had 10 of them, Sam, from 1991 to 2000. That's Thurman Thomas had 8 years of it, Eric Dickerson 7, Walter Payton 6. Emmitt Smith, 10 years. You talk about durability at 250 rushing attempts a year.
And you know he wanted to have a big game today after last week on Thanksgiving Day not having a good game. Right here, he's dropped at the 17-yard line. They have lost a yard. Robert Jones in on the tackle.
You know, he is really a special individual. And throw all the records aside, just the fact that Emmitt Smith has lasted this long. Now, to do that, you need a pretty good offensive line in front of you, and he's always had that, Sam. He's always had that big offensive line. But still, to tote the rock all those years and get tackled that many times and be injured as many times, heck, 6 years ago, people thought he was washed up because, you know, it's that time. There's not many running backs that get to that time in their career and get injured and can bounce back from it.
He's never had the blazing speed, but tremendous player with great heart and durability and closing in on Walter Payton's all-time rushing record. Starting play today, he needed 1,074 yards to break Walter Payton's all-time career rushing record.
You give him a drum and a couple batons to bang it with, and that is the Energizer Bunny.
Here's 3rd down. Dallas has to get to the 11-yard line. Play fake. Carter rolling. Wants to run it. Slides to the 20-yard line. Not taking any chances. Washington calls another timeout. 3:15 remaining. The Redskins are out of timeouts, and they trail by 10. Redskins are on the road next week in Arizona. The week after, they're home against Philadelphia. There's been a time change for that game. Kickoff will be at 4:15 Eastern Time when the Redskins meet the Eagles for the second time. Here's John Hilbert, 1 for 2 in the game. This try is 39 yards. He was good from 38 earlier. The kick is right through. A big one. It's a 13-point lead for Dallas with 3:11 remaining.
You know, you look at this game, and this game it's all about the rivalry. It really is.
Yeah.
Because if you look and you think about what's on the line for Washington after the 5-game win streak, a game and a half out of first place in the division to take over the division, a team that has lost to the Dallas Cowboys 8 straight times, a team whose owner, Daniel Snyder, talked to me before the game. He said he doesn't care about the record. He doesn't care about what happened yesterday. He doesn't care about tomorrow. He cares about this game because he goes, you know what? I don't like them very much.
Well,
and you know, and that filters down from the top. So this game meant a lot and they still couldn't find a way to pull it off. So it's all about a rivalry.
He's going to like them even less after this game. Fox 2, Mo, you going to that?
Huh?
Will you be there, front row?
They don't send me anything.
Oh.
They don't. Fox, they don't send me anything.
On the case.
Limo tickets. Heck, I haven't seen a World Series, a baseball game. I haven't seen any one of these special things. I did get tickets, though, to that skating event they had.
Good job.
Micah Noor kicking off. Michael Bates needs a good return from the 3. Straight up the middle. And he's knocked down by George Teague up the 35-yard line with a hard hit. 32-yard return. 3:01 to go. Well, last 5 games, all wins for Washington. Marty Ball, but they've rushed for only 81 yards and given up 216 yards rushing. Time of possession down, and the turnover ratio is even.
Everything, and that's exactly the key. And when they don't meet that criteria, the outcome is what you have here.
They need 2 touchdowns. Trailing by 13. 3 wide receivers. This one is to Kevin Lockett. Up to the 44-yard line. He picked up 9 on the play. No huddle.
Sammy, you go back and you talk about the rivalry and why it is a rivalry as they go in their hurry-up offense. Because you look at Dallas and you look at their record and you think, well, are they building for the future? Is this like 1989?
Banks throwing on 2nd down, completing to Michael Westbrook. Down at the Dallas 41, his first catch of the game. Pat Dennis made the tackle. 1st down, Redskins. Clock running. Washington out of timeouts. Westbrook started one way, goes back and sets. Everybody out. Banks being rushed. And he is taken down. Michael Myers. 3rd sack of the game for Dallas.
They haven't had too many opportunities like this when they've had a comfortable lead and their team they're playing is just throwing the ball and they get to tee off on the quarterback. But you go back and you talk about Dallas. Is this like 1989? Do they have enough young guys that they're preparing for the future for next year? Is Quincy Carter the quarterback next year? Who is the quarterback next year? The receivers are over 30 years old. Where's this team going? They've got to win right now, though.
Fox NFL Sunday is brought to you by UPS, the official delivery company of football fans everywhere.
Emmitt Smith has run for 102 yards today. His 11th career 100-yard game against Washington. 72nd of his career overall in regular season. Liddell Bennett inside the 40 to the 36. Redskins hurry up. They need 2 touchdowns. This is a 3rd down play at the 36-yard line. They have to get to the 31 for a first. Banks throws it outside right through the hands of Liddell Bennett. That'll bring up a 4th down.
It's hard to do this when you're not built for this. When you're relying on a completely different philosophy than throwing the ball and running pass routes and spreading defenses, and then you're forced to do it, it's almost foreign. Because everything you practice in practice isn't this.
Here's 4th down for the Redskins. Out of the shotgun, they've got to get to the 31. Everybody out. Banks throws, and it's caught for a 1st down by Michael Westbrook down to the 25-yard line. No timeouts. Banks wants to spike it. Gets everybody set. Spikes it. Wait, clock stops with 1:19 remaining. Time for a game break. Let's go back to the Fox Television Center to JB.
Hey, Sam, and take a look. We're a huge upset in the making here. Oakland make that losing to Arizona by 2, and Bill Gramatica misses this 48-yard field goal that would have made a 5-point lead, necessitating an Oakland touchdown to win it. We'll take it to that contest, time permitting. Back to Sam and Bill.
Thanks, JB. Big miss by Gramatica. Now, 2nd down for Washington at the 25. Dallas may have jumped offside. They did. Banks gets away. Looking to throw. He's hit from behind. And the ball rolls out of bounds. and is ruled a forward pass. It's incomplete. Byron Frisch jumped offside.
He finished the play, though. He did finish the play. You know, a lot of guys, young guys, will jump off sides,
right,
and sit there and say, oh, darn, and throw their hands up in the air. At least he finished the play, came all the way around the backside and across the field.
Defense, offside, 5 yards. Repeat, second down. Got an incomplete pass.
To assure that Tony Banks didn't throw that ball.
Dallas will be home next week against the New York Giants, who have a bye week this week. Washington will go to Arizona to play the Cardinals, who suddenly are looking pretty good. They are battling Oakland with 3:15 remaining and leading by 2. Here's second down and 5 at the 20-yard line. Banks sends everybody out, throws for the end zone, and it is dropped by Rod Gardner. He was covered by Mario Edwards on the play.
Pass interference against Dallas.
Illegal contact, 27 defense, 5 yards, automatic first down.
It happened way before this. It happened at about the 8-yard line as they were running the route.
Still should have been, that should have been caught right there, I think, Bill.
It was in his hands. Rule of thumb with the receiver: if it's in your hands, catch it. Simple, huh?
Sounds simple.
It should be rule of hands, actually, not rule of thumb.
So a couple of penalties, and Washington now at the Dallas 15, a first down with 1:03 remaining. Westbrook in motion. Blitz coming. Banks throws too high, intended for Rod Gardner. Covered by Mario Edwards on the play. He's still upset with the official who called him for illegal contact on the previous play.
You know what? You know what Mario Edwards is?
Yeah.
Besides a very big, tall, athletic corner that's excelled this year, really come on strong in his second year, he is a Florida State cornerback. That's what he is. I mean, just beaming, exuding the utmost confidence any player could have.
Blitz coming again. Banks throws for the end zone to Rod Gardner. Touchdown. And he beat Mario Edwards on the play. Good grab. 53 seconds remaining. And now the Redskins will need to recover an onside kick to have any hope of winning this game. The extra point will put them within 6. Brett Conway with Brian Barker holding, and it's a 6-point game.
Mario Edwards spent too much time complaining to the back judge on that side. He got caught up in that and actually let this one go by him. Didn't want to have the illegal contact and did not stay with the receiver through the route.
Good job by Gardner getting his feet down, his 4th touchdown reception of the season. It's 20-14. But now the special teams come into play for Marty Schottenheimer, as his team will need to come through with an onside kick recovery. Joe Avisano urging on his hands unit. Well, Marty Schottenheimer told his players there's no such thing as an SI jinx. Tiger Woods and Muhammad Ali have been on the covers, but I don't know. They're down by 6.
Well, you know it's going to be difficult when Dallas has the all-hands team out here, and nobody's thrown the ball in this game. So your defensive backs haven't been thrown on. Your wide receivers haven't had the ball thrown to them.
Look at this setup.
How can you be the all-hands team if you don't have the ball thrown to you?
Look at the way Conway has put it down.
He's going to kick the top of it there, so it flips up, hits the ground, and then bounces high.
Everybody lined up left.
Watch it go high.
Goes 10. It is grabbed, and it popped loose and went out of bounds. And it should belong to Dallas. discussion continuing.
Well, you couldn't see who touched it. Nobody had possession of it before it went out of bounds, but who touched it before it went out of bounds is what's going to determine it.
Well, either way, I would think it would be Dallas ball, Bill.
Not if nobody touched it. It would be a re-kick.
Long discussion going on here. Here's Jerry Austin.
We have a kick that is touched by Dallas. Then it touches a Dallas player who has been out of bounds and not reestablished. So that makes a kick touch an out-of-bounds spot, and it's dead out of bounds. Since it's last touched by the receivers, the ball belongs to the receivers at the spot where it went out of bounds.
All right. Good explanation. It is Dallas ball. And Marty Schottenheimer doesn't agree, but with 51 seconds, this game will be over. Take another look.
Woodson gets the touch. Now here's your player out of bounds, and he comes back and jumps in from out of bounds and gets a piece of it. So it's dead. He doesn't count in essence. That's what they're saying.
Woodson, usually very reliable, missed it. Hambrick.
I think it hit a Washington Redskins player after it hit Woodson. I think it hit a Washington Redskins helmet, a player, before it went out of bounds, Sam.
Which?
I think 22. 22, Shawanga. Take a close look. Woodson, now watch Shawanga. I think it hits him in the head. It
Yes,
does.
it does.
Then it goes out.
In which case, it would be a re-kick, Bill?
That's correct. That's correct.
Now, any review has got to come from upstairs. In the final 2 minutes of either half, reviews are done upstairs by the officials. And Jerry Austin may be getting a buzz right now to take a look at this.
Yep.
Dave Campo wants the ball.
Yeah, Jerry. Now they're going to tell. Jerry's going to tell us right now.
The play is going to be reviewed.
Okay. They'll take a look, and they will probably see this. What we saw, the ball bounce off the helmet of Kato Sawanga and then wind up out of bounds, in which case it would be a re-kick, Bill?
Yes.
And the man out of bounds was Troy Hambrick, and he cannot come back and touch the ball without reestablishing. But Darren Woodson could not control the onside kick.
Now, in order for a Hambrick to be reestablished,